Hey folks, welcome back to HeartGold vs. Crystal. We are here in Ecruteak City and we are checking out the Burned Tower. Now the Burned Tower, just to give a little bit of backstory, was once called the Brass Tower because I assume it was made of brass, and because of a Japanese pun, it was the Kane Tower, which is a type of musical bell. And there's a similar pun for the other tower in this city, which we will eventually visit. Now this guy here is Eugene. Eugene was introduced in Crystal in order to give the legendary beasts side plot thing a little bit more development. And this guy here is Morty, and he's the gym leader. And you need to come here and deal with this plot business before you fight him here in HeartGold. I don't think that's the case in Crystal. Anyway, also we have the question. He is here to catch a legendary Pokemon. You can see those down there. Those are legendary Pokemon. And as you might expect, we have a rival battle. Now, this is a pretty good rival battle. It's like decently challenging, considering you just fought a gym leader who had a maximum of level 19. Him sending out a level 20 Ghastly is kind of a thing. And luckily I'm actually pretty well equipped to deal with most of his Pokemon, at least in HeartGold. Because Ghastly, as you will see quite a bit in the coming episodes, goes down very easily to Extrasensory. This was the case back when we fought him in Azalea, and it is the case now. But he does have two new tricks up his sleeve. As you saw, he has Curse, which is definitely a thing that will come into play in future episodes. And also Confuse Ray, which will 100% accuracy confuse you. That sucks. Curse basically cuts the Ghost-type user's HP in half in order to deal a quarter total damage to the opponent every turn. So it's kind of high risk, but pretty good rewards. I don't use too many Ghost types, so I haven't used it much in like, ever at all. But it's certainly annoying for in-game. A good kind of annoying. Also in HeartGold, it will inflict damage on you even after you defeat the opponent in question, so you can defeat something and then die the same turn anyway. Which stinks. Now you can see what I'm doing here. I'm doing a bait and switch strategy for Everett. Of course, you know all about the bait and switch strategy. And that's because Everett is received at level 5 in HeartGold and Soul Silver. Not the case in Crystal. So when we do get to that fight, you'll see that I'm not doing a bait and switch there. You'll see what level we get Everett there at some point, I guess. Anyway, here's Magnemite. Nice thing about Magnemite, despite the sprite, doesn't actually have Levitate, and so is weak to ground-type moves, and in fact is quadruple weak to ground-type moves. It will go down very easily to nearly any ground-type move you have. So Sandra basically takes out the trash. Next up is Quilava. You remember our friend Quilava from the previous rival battle. I don't know, it's still a decent threat. The thing about the rival here is that his starter is actually pretty dangerous most of the time. It's usually his most dangerous Pokemon. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's technically his most dangerous, but he's a pushover. No, he's actually kind of dangerous because, you know, using a starter, it's a Pokemon that you could have possibly used, so they needed to make it actually kind of good. Something you could, like, kind of beat the game easily with. So facing one, well, lo and behold, it's actually a little bit tricky. Especially when he has things like Smokescreen. Smokescreen's a jerk. Anyway, bringing in Klaus because it'll resist any fire moves he brings out, and has a super effective Rock Tomb. Technically a super effective Bubble Beam, but Bubble Beam sucks on Klaus because Klaus doesn't have good special attack. But yeah, the Smokescreen business, not great. I've complained about accuracy plenty of times before, but basically keeps lowering your accuracy so you're less likely to hit, so you'll either want to keep switching out between Pokemon that can reasonably deal with whatever Quilava dishes out, or you want to have a Pokemon with like the Keen Eye ability. I think the various bird types, flying types can have that. I know Starly can, that's the important thing, but it's a useful thing to have. Anyway, with Quilava out of the way, in much the same way we took care of him before, we are down to, oh hey, Mudshot. Mudshot, I was initially very excited for Mudshot, but unfortunately it's a special move rather than a physical move, so not useful for Klaus. It was a killer in Generation 3. It was really useful on like Marshtomp or Swampert, at least in-game. Unfortunately, it fell out of my favor. Anyway, his final Pokemon is our ever-popular Zubat, which of course we can deal with extrasensory. Like, it's annoying, but it shouldn't be too bad. I don't remember if it has Confuse Ray or just Supersonic. I think just Supersonic looks like. So if you dealt with the Ghastly's confusion, this should be less of an annoyance to you. And that's basically all it can really do in terms of actually dangerous things. You may not have something super effective against it, although you should really think about getting something. But Zubat isn't exactly known for being powerful. It's known for being annoying. Anyway, because Zubat is fast, that's another thing it is, it's fast. Wanted to heal Bree so I could definitely get that extra sensory in there. Also, it has Bite. Ooh. If you're trying to use an actual Psychic type against it, that can be a nasty surprise. But anyway, that takes Zubat out of the way. And that, oh, useless crit. Wonderful. And that takes care of the HeartGold fight. So, I will see you guys in just a sec for the Crystal version of this battle, which will hopefully be even tougher. Not that this was tough. Alrighty, Crystal time. It's very much the same fight, but also very much different. I think this is the point in the game where things actually start to get different. Like, hey, oh look, he has a Haunter rather than a Ghastly. That Ghastly evolved. Illegally, I might add. So they made that a little bit more easier in HeartGold. But hey, here's some differences. Webster doing some Nightshade action because, unfortunately, Bree doesn't have extrasensory, and I don't have a whole lot of things that can do a lot of damage to a Ghost type. Like, I have Mud Slap. That's a thing. It's actually more useful than you might think. But here, Webster is actually one of two viable options against Ghost types, which is a drastic shift from what we had before, which was basically a Bree monopoly. Anyway, bringing in the Quilava a bit earlier rather, and I was a little bit undecided. Also, you can see, look, got Everett at level 20 rather than level 5. Anyway, bring in Sandra just for the heck of it. Klaus probably could have done the job just fine, since... Wait, no, he's still stuck with Bubble right now, isn't he? No, he couldn't have done the job very well. Or maybe he already went Bubble. I don't even care, but I wanted to get Sandra a little more experience, because these next few episodes, this one and 2 episodes from now, Sandra will be getting a lot of use, so I wanted to make sure Sandra was just a little bit more prepared. Anyway, Sandra also has a new tool against fire types. Rollout, which we got since the last rival fight, is indeed rock type and thus super effective against fire types. And dang, doesn't it do a lot of damage. I don't care if it was a crit, that was still impressive. And even better, hopefully things are going my way. I don't remember the order that he uses the Pokemon, but Rollout would also be super effective against Zubat, who is coming in next. And I'm switching out. What do you... No, stop it. Stop it, past self. Don't do that. Don't... No. Oh. So if my past self was smart, I would have kept Sandra in, used Rollout again, and just one-shotted the Zubat. But my past self is not smart, unfortunately. So here's Bree. Headbutting. Yeah. That was dumb. That was really dumb. You're dumb. past self. Anyway, I think I realized that I was an idiot at this point, because holy shit, Zubat has Confuse Ray in this version, whereas only Supersonic in HeartGold. It seems like they just made this fight easier, and that was completely unnecessary, if you don't mind me saying. The thing is, people generally regarded Gold and Silver and Crystal as some of the easiest games in the series, so making it easier for the remake? Not really necessary at all. Anyway, bringing in Webster from Nightshade. Since again, I didn't really have anything super effective against Zubat other than the rollout, which apparently I just had an aneurysm and forgot existed. So using Nightshade, which is a fixed damage move, would be the best option besides rollout. Anyway, playing with fire there, I was confused and very in real danger of being KO'd just by his attack. So, decided to attack anyway. Alright, go ahead, past self. Man, that Zubat could be dead like 2 minutes ago, come on. Anyway, just eventually I'm gonna beat this guy. I don't even know what I'm looking for right now. What are you looking for? You already had the potions. But yeah, Word of the Wise, get something to deal with the Zubats. Especially because you're gonna see a lot of them later on in the game. Like, not even that much later, you just... Team Rocket loves them, alright? So, you'll want something to deal with them. And hopefully I will keep in my mind somewhere the knowledge that Sandra using Rollout against them is a good idea. Anyway, bringing in Frida, because Frida hasn't really gotten to do much. Oh, not even bringing in Frida. Never mind, because Webster has Dig. Except I don't even know. I don't know why I... God, my past self is me. I'm... Okay, this is now canon. The Crystal game is being played by my 8-year-old self. Not by my current 19-year-old self. That's why the Crystal player is such an idiot. Okay? Alright. Anyway, bring in Sandra to use Mudslap, which is quadruple effective, which is nice. And Magnemite has Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom I haven't demonstrated on screen, but it's annoying, because much like Nightshade, it is a fixed damage move, and it will always do 20 damage. Which is still a relatively decent amount. It's becoming less and less, but I think I still have some Pokemon that would be two-shotted by it. Anyway, that was an atrocious fight. Anyway, I like the resolution to the Crystal fight a little better, because that's just freaking hilarious. In HeartGold, the fight ends and you walk down a ladder. Here, this is hilarious. Anything else is inferior. Anyway, down here in the basement of the Burnt Tower, we can find the 3 legendary somethings. There's a lot of controversy about what these things are. They're cats, they're dogs, they're gerbils. I just call them beasts. But the deal with them, basically, is that when this tower burned down, 3 unnamed Pokemon perished in the fire, and then some magical birdie phoenix guy flew and revived them as these legendary Pokemon. And now they're just running around the world, showing off their super sexy might and skills and whatnot. If you can't guess what Pokemon perished in that fire, think a little bit, watch the next episode, think a little bit. Anywho, that takes care of this episode, and I will see you guys next time.